After spending some time with it, I thought it might be helpful to share what I have noticed so far in normal day-to-day riding, not just a quick spin around the block. At a basic level, this is an electric bike meant for adults who want some help on commutes, errands, or longer rides where you do not want to show up sweaty. I also think it makes sense for someone who is new to electric bikes, because it feels pretty familiar if you already know how to ride a regular bicycle. It does not feel like you need to learn a whole new system. What made it interesting to me is how straightforward it is to live with. I can ride it like a normal bike when I want to, or I can lean on the motor when I am tired, dealing with wind or going up a hill. It is not trying to do anything weird. It is just trying to get you from place to place with less effort. Starting down at the tires, the size and the feel are a big part of the experience. They roll over rough pavement and cracked sidewalks in a way that feels calmer than a smaller tire bike. I ride on a mix of smooth roads and sections that are basically patched over and uneven, and it takes the edge off. I have also taken it onto light trails, nothing extreme, just packed dirt and some gravel, and it stayed predictable. I cannot promise you will never get a flat, but I have not had one so far, and that matters when you are using it as transportation and not just for fun. On comfort, the seat is better than I expected for this style of bike. I have done rides long enough where I would normally start shifting around, and I felt fine. I did end up adjusting the angle a little to fit my posture. That is normal bicycle stuff, but it is worth saying because a lot of people never touch the seat adjustment and then blame the bike. Once I set it up for my body, I could ride longer without thinking about it. The overall build feels solid in the ways that matter when you are actually using it. When I grab the handlebars and rock the bike side to side, it does not feel loose or flimsy. The kickstand is one of those small things you only notice when it is bad, and here it has been stable for me. I lean it on the stand when I am loading a bag or unlocking the door, and it has not felt like it is about to tip over unless I park it on a weird slope. The battery setup has been one of the most practical parts of owning it. Being able to remove it makes charging easier, especially if you live in an apartment or you do not want to carry the whole bike near an outlet. I have taken the battery inside and charged it overnight. It locks in place, and that helps with peace of mind when I am out doing errands, although I still treat it like any bike and try not to leave it unattended for long periods. Range is always a tricky topic because it depends on rider weight, hills, wind, temperature, and how much you ask the motor to do. In my riding, I have been able to go close to 40 miles on a full charge when I am not pushing it to maximum assist the whole time. If I am riding harder, accelerating a lot, or dealing with more hills, that number drops. The main takeaway is that it has been enough for my usual routine without me constantly doing battery math in my head. The controls are simple enough that I did not need to sit down and study anything. The screen gives me the information I actually use, like speed, battery level, and distance. It is easy to read while riding, and I like being able to glance down and know if I should head home or if I still have plenty left. I have gotten it up to about 20 miles per hour on flat ground, and that is where it feels like it settles in naturally. At that speed, it still feels stable, but I am also more aware of road conditions and braking distance, because you are moving faster than on a typical casual bike ride. The braking feels familiar, like a normal bicycle. That matters because when something unexpected happens, I do not want to think about how the brakes work. I want muscle memory to take over. In dry conditions, stopping has felt controlled and consistent. In wetter conditions, I ride more cautiously, which is true on any bike, but especially on an electric bike because you can arrive at corners faster than you realize. One of the features I use a lot more than I thought I would is the built-in light. I have ridden at dusk and at night, and it is bright enough to help me see and to help cars notice me. I also like having a horn ready on the bars. I do not use it constantly, but in those moments where someone starts drifting into the bike lane or a pedestrian steps out without looking, it is useful. It is not subtle, which is kind of the point. There is one detail I would change if I could, and it is the light placement. I personally prefer a light mounted higher because it feels like it throws light in a more useful way and it stays cleaner. The current placement works, but if you ride through puddles or grime, you will notice you have to wipe it off more often. It is not a deal breaker, just a small daily use thing I noticed. Gearing has been smooth for me. I am not doing anything fancy, but I do shift regularly when I go from flat roads to small inclines, and it helps keep the ride comfortable. The bike does not feel like it is fighting me when I change gears. If you are someone who already understands basic bike shifting, it behaves the way you expect. Setup out of the box was basically what I expect for an electric bike. It took some time, and I checked bolts and alignment before I rode it. After a few rides, I rechecked everything again. That is something I do with any bike after the first week, because parts can settle. In daily use, I have not had to babysit it. I keep the tires inflated, I charge the battery, and I do quick checks before I leave, and it has been dependable. In real-life scenarios, it has been most useful for commuting and errands. I have ridden it to grab groceries and to run small local trips where I would normally take a car. The motor assist makes stop and go riding much less annoying. When you are dealing with traffic lights, driveways, and intersections, that little boost getting back up to speed helps you feel less worn out by the end of the ride. I also want to be clear about who I think it is for. If you want an electric bike to replace a car for short trips, or to make commuting realistic without arriving drenched in sweat, it fits that use. If you are looking for something to ride aggressively off-road, jumping curbs, hitting rough trails, and treating it like a mountain bike, I would not buy it for that. It can handle uneven paths and casual trail riding, but it feels happiest on roads, bike paths, and light gravel. Overall, my impression is that the Jasion EB5 has been easy to live with. It rides like a bike first, with electric help when you want it. The battery experience has been practical, the display gives me what I need, and the ride has been comfortable enough that I actually choose to use it instead of making excuses. My complaints are small, mostly about details like where the light sits and the normal reality that range changes a lot depending on how you ride. I will leave detailed information about the Jasion EB5 in the comments for your reference. Thank you for watching.